Well, fill it with gas, fill it with oil, check the water, we're ready to roll. It's got no buzzes, no flashing lights, just let you know when it feels alright. One side looks like an old tin can and the hood's held down with rubber bands. We tell it our problems and it understands as we roll along the highway. We all drive an old yellow Datsun with one green door.
I made a bit of a video on the weekend, and didn't turn out well. First of all, it was the weekend that my oldest son comes out to visit. His wife works shift work as a nurse at one of the big hospitals in the city, and so when she works night shift, which is every fourth weekend she's on nights, she gets home at 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, and to prevent her from having a decent sleep, he packs up the kids and comes out to visit for the Saturday and Sunday, and we get to play with the grandkids, and they get to tire us out, and then he helps out around the house, which I always appreciate, because my boys are all good to help when I ask them to. If I need something done, they hop right in and do it. If they don't know how to do it and they know that I do, they jump right in anyway, because they know they're going to learn something. Just from my experiences. Anyway, that's something that I never really liked doing with my dad, was helping him do things. And I don't know why. I think part of it was because my friends would be out playing football or baseball or off riding their bikes. I'd be all ready to go, and they'd come and call on me to go wherever they were going, and my dad would say, "No, you got to stop and help me. We're fixing the fence, or we're putting up the shed. But we've got to help me do an oil change on the car," things like that. And I used to hate it, because I always thought I was losing out on something in life. I'm losing out being with my friends. And over the years, that happened a lot. Well, not all the time, but there were times that I wanted to go to do things, and I never realized it until I was older, that what I got from hanging out with my dad and doing work on the car or on the house was more memorable to me than what I would have been doing with my friends, just riding bikes around or playing baseball or football, because I still did play plenty of that with my friends. And now that I've gotten older and I have kids of my own, I make sure I tell them, the time I spent with my dad, I can't get back. And not realizing at the time, I guess my dad made me use it wisely, and because of that, he helped make me the man I am. And I've told my sons that, and there were times that they wanted to go off with their friends, and I would say, no, I need help doing something. I have a problem asking my kids to do things. I always have. And it's not because I'm worried that I'm going to cramp their style or anything. It's just that with my dad, as I did get older into my teens, my dad and I learned to anticipate each other, and we could work on things for hours and never say two words, because we knew each other so well, because we worked together, that it was almost like we were dealing with one person or one brain with two people, which was kind of interesting. And quite often what would happen is I would expect my sons to do stuff the same way. I expect them to realize that a second set of hands would be good, and it's not healthy for me. I'm supposed to be teaching them how to work well. I got to the point I could understand with my dad, and when I was done at the last, what's the next step? Well, just anticipation of what each step is, and a lot of us do that in our jobs, likely, where you anticipate to some extent what the next step is, and those of you who work with your hands will understand that that concept, especially those of you that work with someone on a regular basis. You start thinking as one. And when I wasn't thinking like that with my dad, he would get on my case and say, "Oh, come on, pay attention to what we're doing here. This is he wouldn't tell me it was a learning experience. He always told me this is good for you, to do this. He wouldn't say it's good for you to learn this. It was always, it's good for you to do this. It's good for you to help." And I always thought, it was good for him, not me. But then, now that I'm, once I got into my 20s, I started telling my dad that, you taught me well. I don't think I ever told him enough just how well he did teach me. Because there's things that I can do in a house that the average person can't. In fact, I've had friends build houses and garages, and the only thing on an average house that I have not done was installing a furnace, installing the gas lines, and installing the original set of ductwork. I've always, friends and that have always allowed that to be professionals. But installing the furnace and that, other than knowing the codes, I could do a lot of that stuff if I had to. But everything else I've done on a house, I helped a friend put up the forms for concrete. I've helped them pour concrete for a foundation. I've helped them frame a house, not completely, but for the years, I've done the equivalent of building an entire house. Roofing, plumbing, everything. And the same with renovations. I've done all that. And now I expect my sons to do that, and I haven't taught them quite enough to do that. So I'm going to try and, especially now that I need a little more help, because I've got a lot to do. A lot of little things to do. I'm going to start trying to ask them to help more, instead of just expecting them to realize that I need help with something. The reason I'm thinking that is with working on this portable greenhouse framing I'm putting up for a portable garage. I've done about 85% of it myself over time. And on the weekend, my oldest was out doing it, and grant you, my oldest and my number 2 son both live away from home, and they're both about a half hour away in opposite directions. But number 3 lives at home with me, but he's working. So, and now that it's fall, he does landscaping. So now that it's fall, they're working sun up till sundown. So by the time he gets home, there's really no time